Hello there, friends and RC family. My name is Alec from High Noon Hobbies, and if you're new to this channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. I hope that you will stick around, watch at least this video, see if this content seems worth your while, and consider subscribing so that then I can say to you, if you aren't new here, welcome back to yet another Sunday upload. Sort of relaxed, sort of not. We're still in comp mode here. We're going to be going through part 2 of the invitational high-stakes cash comp here down in Three Peaks near Cedar City, Utah. That happened a few weekends back, and we watched Zach and Taylor run last time. We saw their scores. We'll kind of do a little refresher here at the end with the final standings, but this time we're going to be taking a look at Kyle and Cameron's run, and we'll find out who comes out on top. So I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time, but if you would, don't forget, I do have a website where you can buy some sweet High Noon Hobby merch. That's down in the description down below, and it's just highnoonhobby.com if you're interested in checking it out. We'll also be posting events there as well. We've been getting out of the events, or we got out of the events throughout the kind of hotter part of the season, but I'm excited to start announcing some new events here soon, so keep your eyes peeled on the website for those, or also the Facebook page if you don't follow us there. There's a link to that down in the description as well. Okay, that's all the plugs I've got. Let's get into the rest of this comp. All right, it wouldn't be the start of another High Noon Hobby comp course filming if I didn't come in just a little bit late. So here we are, just a fraction of the way into gate number 1 here with Kyle. Kyle actually running a rig that is a chassis he designed and built himself, so quite impressive there. Good job, Kyle. A very, very impressive builder, someone who knows the ropes well when it comes to dialing in an awesome comp rig, as we're going to definitely see here. Now, do remember that the drivers that you're watching in this particular order doesn't necessarily mean that this is the order that they went in. So this was actually the point here where all of the drivers that had to go after Kyle realized that there was probably a line further to that passenger side from where he is coming in. So unfortunately, Kyle getting a bit turned up, a bit crossed here, and it's a dangerous position. You can see Luke coming in with the winch stick, reminding him that that's an option, but Kyle's going to take the reverse, and he's going to set back up. Of course, a reverse always better than hitting a gate. You can see that his spotter there giving him eyes on the better line. Kyle going to realign himself here and see if he can sneak through this gate a little bit better without getting hung up there on his skid plate. So we're bumping it in. We're much further over to the passenger side. You can see Kyle sneaking it to the driver's side to get that hook on that driver's side front tire, pushes his way over, and does a fantastic job of clearing that breakover angle the second time around. Definitely worth that reverse. Now let's see his approach to this gate number 2 here. You can see he's pretty wide as he comes into this gate 2. He definitely doesn't have too much clearance. He's got to make sure he's riding that ledge, and just like everyone else that went through there, that ledge starts pushing your rear axle into that number cone over there on the passenger side as you're passing through that gate, and it's definitely a hair-raising experience. Luckily, Kyle makes it through there without tapping the gate. He makes it through clean, so we're still at just a +1 from his one reverse that he had to take to realign himself, which was definitely worthwhile. Headed into this gate here, we're taking a different look at it from the front. You can kind of see why that's an issue, or why that's a concern, that your rear axle would start to push into that lower cone there on that face, as it is a decent side hill as you're coming off of the breakover angle. Gate 5 there, nothing to worry about as long as you stay maintained on the throttle control, you stay maintained on the posture, nice and easy through there. You don't want to do anything too crazy and get flipped over, because that's going to be an easy spot to do so. We're going to sneak our way over to gate 6. You can see we're taking the high approach, but unfortunately the high approach means you've got to take a longer loop here to get yourself lined up with gate 6. Gate 6 we thought again was going to be the determining gate here. Now let's see how Kyle's truck takes it, and that is more, I think, what was expected. when this gate was set up. Your passenger rear tire there would get sucked into the overhang. Your driver front tire is going to be hanging high in the air, but a testament to how planted this rig is that you can literally be hanging that front tire a tire's length up while your rear tire is getting sucked into a crevasse, and yet he maintains his posture there, stays planted, and is able to take a reverse to realign. Now, he's got a different thought this time. Kyle's going to try to approach it straight on and see if he can bump his way over. Unfortunately, he's just an inch or so off of getting the hook on either of the front tires. So he has to take a reverse to get himself settled there, but that's definitely better than turtling. He's going to take the approach again, and you can see the winch stick's already out. He's prepared because we know if he takes the same approach again, he's going to have to winch through it, and it's better to take the winch than to take the gate or to have to take a rollover. So we're going to winch through, up and over. You can see that skid clearance becoming just a little bit of a problem, but not creating too much of an issue as he is able to make it through that gate 6 clean. Now we've got to head over to gate 7, the nasty, nasty side hill. Unfortunately, taking a few extra seconds than we'd probably want to get that winch put back in place, but that's just the way it goes when you are using a winch servo, as opposed to a dynamic winch or a bungee winch. I don't know if Kyle thought that the gate came in from the other direction or if he's just trying to get the low approach on it, but he's taking a look at it now, and he can see that low approach is pretty nasty. Again, another big overhang as you come into it that's going to catch your rear tires just like that, push you over to the side. Kyle not wanting to use another reverse, and a sketchy but very, very well executed recovery there to make sure that he didn't have to use a reverse and he didn't have to take a rollover there. He managed to pull it off, and I thought that was quite an impressive feat of driving right there. Keeping it on the throttle, you could tell as he got onto his roof, he knew he had to maintain that momentum and then counter the momentum to try to flip himself back over, and I thought he did a very, very good job of it. It's kind of like one of those self-righting jet boats. Headed into gate 7 here, and we're not looking ideal at the moment. We're a bit crossed up for it, and you can see that front end is pushing. As you try to take the reverse on it, your entire wheelbase is going to start pushing down the side hill. You can see that driver's side rear tire picking up off the wall, that getting very, very light and ending up in quite a nasty spill. Luckily, nothing broken. Everything looks good, and he ended up like a cat on all fours, so he's back at it, back in action there. And to save time, because we are already at 6:20 of an 8-minute course, we're just going to take the winch through gate 7 and start hauling ass through the rest of these gates to make sure that we don't lose any points that we don't need to at the end just by not finishing. So still take your time, still make sure you get through it clean, but as soon as he gets that passenger tire over the brake over angle and he knows he's safe, you can see he bumps that winch line right off of that winch stick and gets right back to it. Headed over into the 8-9 combo here. You've got to make your way up the nasty ascent here, making sure that you don't like Taylor did, get both of your front tires up on that far side ledge, the upper ledge, or rather potentially get pushed off that ledge and end up upside down. A very nice job there of staying squared up on that V-notch, and he made it through clean. And makes it through 9, not so clean, but again lands like a cat, and he's back at it. We're down to about 30 seconds left, and Kyle knows he's got to at least try to hit one of these bonuses to maintain a competitive score. But is that going to be the differentiator if he can't make it to gate 10? That was sketchy. We almost saw Kyle pull the same thing that Zach did there, sliding on his skid down into that lower cone. Luckily, he doesn't, so he ends up actually zeroing out his score there. Now we're going to try to work our way into the second bonus, which is a very risky move. He actually gets kicked off the wall just to some interesting throttle maneuvers, and boom, we've got a DNF at gate 10 there, unfortunately adding another 15 to Kyle's score there, making it a positive 16 at the end with the reverse after that bonus that he was able to get. So now let's jump into our last run, and the only run that I was able to capture the start box of. So, you know, a little kudos to myself there. I'm proud of myself for at least being able to be on time for one of these runs. But we've got Cameron here from the north. Everyone on the channel, everyone who's been subscribed for a bit should be familiar with Cameron. He is an incredibly capable builder and driver, and he is going to show us what happens here. This is going to really be the difference. You know, if Cameron can put down a competitive score or if he cracks, that's going to really determine where everyone's positions end up here. Getting through gate 2 easily, making it look like a breeze with just a little bit of a throttle blip. Coming into gate 3 here, favoring the driver's side more than other drivers. You can see he got that rear axle further up on that face to try to avoid it pushing over into the cone. Unfortunately, it still pushes, and just by the hairs of his chin does he clear that number cone on gate 3. And coming into gate 4, he's able to make the tight turn, and he doesn't have to go and do a big loop. This is going to save him a good amount of time on the rest of the course as long as he makes his way through easily. Boom, like it's nothing. He makes his way through gate 8 there, or gate 8, I'm sorry, gate 4. Gate 4 leads into yet another descent. This one just a little bit easier, but you're definitely going to watch your throttle here. Cameron definitely places a lot of weight very low on his trucks, which makes it very, very planted for steep descents like that. And you could tell as he went over that, he really didn't have to worry too much. He just kept his throttle under control and kind of matched gravity with that wheel speed, and it worked out just fine for him. Coming in with a tight turn to gate 6, taking the same approach there that Kyle did, but a different approach to the actual gate itself. You see again, he's favoring that driver's side, and he just completely walks it, crosses over from one side to the other of that breakover angle, utilizing his axles there, placing kind of one set of axles, or his rear axle on one side of the breakover, his front axle on the other side of the breakover, and then transitioning over, kind of crossing those axles over to basically give himself the most skid clearance that he can by placing a tire on that breakover as the skid pushes over the breakover angle. And we see again the very planted nature of Cameron's vehicles here as he makes that side hill just look like a breeze, cutting it super, super tight. And I didn't even see him lift a tire there. I'm not entirely certain if he didn't, but I wasn't paying too close attention to that rear driver tire, but it didn't look like it got light. Now we're headed into gate 8. He's staying squared up with the notch. Pretty straightforward as long as you don't get crossed over beforehand. As long as you can basically stay squared up with that V-notch on gate 8, it's not too much of a problem at all. Going into gate 9 here, this one's a doozy for everyone that approaches it without taking the full wraparound like we saw the first couple drivers do in the part 1 of this series. But Cameron still manages to pull that very nasty tight turnoff without having to take a reverse. So very impressed there. I definitely thought that was probably so far the closest he'd gotten to hitting one of those gates, but he manages to pull it off. Now we're going to head into this first bonus, and now I can kind of spoil it that Cameron's actually the first driver that was running this course, so he has no clue what he's getting into here, and he's trying to just kind of forge a path through for everyone else to watch so that they can see what needs to happen. And he unfortunately didn't quite see the line with aligning the driver's side front tire in that crack until he had already made the transition from the rear face, the face closer to us, to the face further away. So he had to take a reverse there to realign himself with that crack. Took a quick pause there for the judges to figure something out. It was a very, very unfortunate place for Cameron to have to take a pause because his servo was super locked up. I would imagine that if that pause lasted maybe even 5 to 10 more seconds, that he could have very well burned out a servo there. You can see how confident Cameron is now coming into it, rolling over the truck, not even attempting to do an acceleration recovery or use his G-spot for a winch recovery. Just goes straight for the rollover. He's still at a -4, and he's got one more bonus to hit, and he has plenty of time to do so. He's at a 430 now, meaning that he's got about 320 left at a 440. So 320 left on the clock. We can see what he can pull off with this last little bit of the course. making that bouldery entrance look fairly easy, but I think most competitors did. It was an interesting approach to the first chasm, just kind of gunning it, but it worked out for him, and it actually pushed his rear axle further over to the driver's side, which helped him clear this gate here and be able to take just a bit of a tighter turn than the other competitors here, meaning that he was able to wiggle a bit more and get that front axle up onto that second shelf, and he didn't have to take a reverse. Now, this is a bit of a spicy maneuver. I don't know that I would have trusted that myself, but it does. That high approach does actually allow you to take a pretty nice line through this little, this last little V-notch. You see, again, another throttle blip to get his front tire settled on that wall closest to us, and he makes it through with no problem at all. A -14 at 5:35.23. Cameron not failing us once again, putting on quite a show. Very impressive driving. Now let's see the final standings. All right, so final standings, here they are. Kyle coming in with a +16, unfortunately DNFing before gate 10. Otherwise, he would have come in with a +1. That DNF gate counting as a +15 against you instead of a +10. Very unfortunate there, but still a very, very good run on his part. Next, we have Zach coming in with a +12 at a 5:57.14. Very impressive time, leaving plenty of time on the table, and a +12. A very impressive score as well, especially considering the fact that he wasn't able to get that first bonus. Then we've got Taylor coming in with a +2 at a 7:08.17. The best score yet on the scoreboard, and really utilizing that extra time on top of Zach there, or Kyle, to really try to work his way through the course efficiently, but without too many mistakes. And then finally, we end it off with Cameron getting a -14 in the top 4 here with a 5:35.23 left. Guys, all around, all of these drivers are incredible. All of these rigs are really, really well dialed. I was impressed with drivers that didn't make it into the top 4. To give you an idea of where I ended up, I was in double digits for this particular event, so in terms of placement, so I did not do particularly well going up against the best drivers here in the state, but it was an honor to be invited to come out. I really enjoyed myself, and it was fun to donate a little bit of money to see all these guys duke it out for some high stakes. I really, really enjoyed it. But let's now, I'm going to take a quick pause, and I'll be right back. I'm actually going to review the scorecards for the final scores, and I'll let you know where our standings were there. Okay, I'm back. I've done the tallying. So the final standings. So this means the combined scores from all 3 courses for all 4 drivers are totaled up, and then here are the final standings, the final standings that we have. We've got Kyle finishing off in 4th with a -26. Guys, 4th place with a -26 over 3 courses. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Zach coming out in 3rd with a -30. Taylor coming out in 2nd with a -31. Very, very close between 3rd and 2nd there. And Cameron blowing it out with a -53 to take 1st place. Well done to all of these drivers. Very, very impressive driving. I thought you all did a fantastic job. Very impressive building as well. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed watching these runs as much as I did. I know that I really enjoyed watching them, and I'm looking forward to all of these awesome events that we're heading into in the near future. So don't forget to subscribe to keep your eyes peeled for those events. Also, you made it to the end of the video, so if you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a good old like. And if you have any comments or questions or any thoughts for future videos, anything like that, leave it in the comment section down below. I read all of those. I respond to most of them, or at least I try to. I've been really busy lately, so I'm sorry if I don't respond to your comment immediately. It might be like a week late, but I will respond to it. I promise I will. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Cheers.